unpopular opinion, but I think food's good for you. Unpopular opinion, I think food's good for you. Shut up! Hey yappers, it's Bree, and gosh, I know. I said the last time I discussed art style drama was with the Abba/Raccoons commentary/interview. The topic of hating unique art styles as a whole has just become a trend, which is, So y'all know I had to take a minute to yap about it, and if you follow my TikTok, you probably expected it, as I made 2 posts giving snippets of my opinions. Because art talk just randomly had a huge surge in hate again, which isn't new, but recently it seems back to back. Which seems to happen yearly. It's just pointless and annoying, and before I drag on too much, let's shift our spotlight to something that isn't pointless and annoying. My super thank yous. Thank you to CCR Heh and Kazuna Endi. As always, this model is made by none other than my pal YUMMIS. His updated commission information is in the description, and he offers a lot of cool stuff. He recently sold some Dandy's World VTubers, and I heard he's making more, so you should check that out. And while you're in the description, check out my comic Crash Landed. I just posted the chapter 4. I'd say my TikTok For You page is pretty solid. I have it catering to my interests, it's usually on the good side of art TikTok, aka the peaceful side with no drama, but there is moments some quick commentary or drama sneak through, hence what gives me video ideas. But one day I noticed a post that said, unpopular opinion, unique doesn't equal good art. And at first I was dismissive, it's like every opinionated video on TikTok. A small brow was raised because I know how this community can be, but maybe it just comes off as weird, but I get the sentiment. Because just because something's unique doesn't automatically make you believe it'll be good. If you like it, it's your preferences, no matter how unique it is. But you'd imagine my surprise, or let's be real, no one's surprised, when I opened the comments to people hating on specific creators. And I mean, they were ruthless. But that alone isn't much. People in art talk are assholes, what's new? I press not interested, and weird, there's another one, and another, and I could have sworn I pressed not interested like 5 times already. Literally everyone was saying unpopular opinion, unique art doesn't equal good art. But this time the creators were liking these comments and endorsing the hate, and it was getting more and more meaner. Some focusing on specific creators in their videos. And if that wasn't enough, people turned into sheep, and they started spamming the comments of the most mentioned artists in those videos. Think for yourselves instead of regurgitating popular TikTok opinions. We all know you weren't planning on commenting that until TikTok made the phrase popular, let's be real. It's so annoying and nobody thinks for themselves anymore, and now that has to be our problem? I just hate how unpopular opinions on TikTok are just the most generic opinions, especially when it comes to bullying, but that's a pet peeve so it doesn't really matter. It does make me do a full eye roll though. What got me to start making a video in my head was a lovely video by my mutual, The Mighty Merrick, as well as some other TikTokers who spoke on the issue. Seeing both sides of the discussion finally made me decide to give my opinions, because now there's multiple perspectives to go off of. I like to wait till there's multiple opinions out there, just so I can see different sides of the spectrum. Anyway, at the same time of this, 2 creators were constantly in these comments. And actually around the same time, both are being harassed for their art styles. Hence why they were mentioned so much. And those 2 artists are Doombrulee and Boyfish. I mean, come on, with how popular the hate is currently, you thought I wasn't gonna mention them? And I love both of their art. I've liked Boyfish's art since my friend Junie introduced me to his art through his videos, and I've been following Doombrulee since around their Mabel drawing. And if people simply dislike their art, I completely get it. But dude, it went as far as to harassing them both, and even accusing a child of having a fat fetish. Which is just weird. You're being weird. And while I'm not going to discuss these creators in depth, I think I should clear up some stuff on Boyfish's end. People are claiming he has a fat fetish, which just isn't true. They claim his characters are all fat, which also isn't true. You can see clear examples of different body types in his art. But all of his bigger characters are usually the ones that go viral, and the ones that people focus on, and nobody actually seems to check for themselves. They just run with the comments. But even if all of his characters had the same body type, that wouldn't matter. People have art preferences. Many people draw exclusively skinny people, but somehow nobody bats an eye. Plus, the characters mainly getting hate are based on his own body. People know this, but continue to sexualize his art, despite how uncomfortable it makes him. Him being 14 and all doesn't help the case. Like, as soon as he said it was based off his real body, as a 14-year-old, y'all should have wrapped it up. Y'all should have wrapped it up from the start. Even regardless, putting a minor on blast to thousands of people, despite whether or not it's a fetish, can be legitimately endangering. You are putting a child in a vulnerable spot. Putting him in the spotlight to thousands of people saying, hey guys, look, this child is a fetish. Socially shun them. And people are comparing his art to actual fetish videos in NSFW. Which is also weird to say about a child's art. Nobody seems to be concerned and would rather bully him. Because if he was 14 and drawing this content and posting it, and he was getting thousands of views, I think that I would be more concerned. And here's a screenshot of him saying it's not a fetish, if you don't believe me, by the way. So no, Boyfish does not have a fat fetish. Stop saying this, and I'm only clarifying this here so people know. But he's also under fire for his lack of flash warning, so I'll also talk about that, because I know I'm gonna get comments about it. Boyfish was under criticism for not having proper flash and eye strain warnings. He supposedly was rude about it when people asked him for the warnings, but I really never saw any proof about that. I only saw a few screenshots of people being jerks about it, Or someone simply saying something along the lines of, "The colors hurt my eyes." But when you're talking to a kid who's under so much hate and your presentation to your concern is, "Your art hurts my eyes," which is incredibly vague, or being very snarky about it, he might take it as hate. And it's not insane that he replied rude back. I fear that's just common sense. You can argue it's not right, of course, in the case of this criticism, since it's health related, but come on. If you criticize him, you should criticize the commenters too. Because if you have a genuine concern, you should be wording this constructively, so he doesn't scroll past it as another hate comment. Like, you guys are part of the problem. But people seem to ignore the fact that he's taking action in the future to properly create warnings for his videos. They act like he wants people to be hurt by his videos. But he was simply uneducated on epilepsy, and now that he's educated on the topic, he's making a change. The idea that epilepsy is only triggered by bright flashing lights that are intense is a common misconception. He genuinely did not know that bright colors, and bright moving colors at that, could affect someone, and that's not hard to believe. These people are purposely giving him a hard time because they don't like him. There are thousands of animations and edits that lack warnings. That doesn't mean it's automatically right. No, it's still wrong for all those people. But you're hyper-focused on one uneducated teenager. The same teenager who showed that he wanted to make a change in the future. And it didn't help his case that allegedly someone did end up having a seizure due to his art. Now that person oddly got hate, which is just gross. And even Boyfish was against the hate. I mean, obviously. But guys, this isn't some hater. This is a person who got genuinely affected due to a genuine concern. This does not mean to use that as an excuse to bully Boyfish. But that also means we should not be rude about their experience. I hope that person is okay, and I wish that upon nobody. But unfortunately, people started using this very real concern and using it as a shield to hate on him, which is just genuinely insane. People have said so much messed up stuff just to say, okay, but he caused a seizure, so it's okay. No, it's not! If you are genuinely concerned, educate, not harass. Especially if you want that person to listen. I rarely see people actually trying to educate him, and more people using it as a scapegoat for when they're being mean. And that's disgusting! This was the only Boyfish critique that I agreed with. But sadly, people just use people's real experiences for personal gain, aka getting out of trouble and have an excuse to be mean. People want him to grow and change, yet when he tries, it's not good enough, or they don't care and continue to bully him. People like watching others go down a bad path so they can gossip about them, and I wish that upon nobody. People also just expect him to remove all of his videos that performed extremely well, and he is most likely proud of, then act like it's not a wild request, and get mad at him for not wanting to do that. Yes, people still see those videos, and that is a good option, but it's understandable why he wouldn't do that. Just say you're trying to find a reason to hate him without telling me. Y'all are reaching for anything. But like I said, I'm not going to go further onto this, as I really don't like to talk about art style hate anymore, since I kind of said everything that needs to be said, and there isn't much for me to add. If I can't add anything useful, I don't like to talk about it. But I just felt I had to talk a bit more about Boyfish, since while we're here, I should probably clear things up. Especially since I'm able to reach more people. But if you want to know more about his situation, my friend Junie that I mentioned earlier, aka Junie Draws, has a great video on Boyfish. And my friend Raccoons has another great video, but on Doombrulee with an actual interview. The past few weeks have been littered with this hate, to the point where my beloved not interested button isn't working anymore. Too many people are saying this and I don't care. Stop recommending me these videos. There's been so much drama in the art community these past few weeks, to the point that I'm convinced this happens yearly. Like, yes, there's always drama, but there's this time of year that I would have back-to-back art drama videos because of this reason. I'd have like 6 whole videos if I talk about all the art drama that happened in like the past 2 weeks. Hence why I'm squishing them together in smaller videos. And again, the sentiment alone is whatever. Sure, unique doesn't automatically equal good. But I'm sick and tired of people sloppily hiding their bullying with a pink bow labeled an opinion. They will comment the rudest, most out-of-pocket thing ever, and then just slap "it's my opinion" on there. It's just used as a scapegoat for when they're called out so they can cry out, "It's my opinion! You hate freedom of speech! You want everything censored!" Dude, you just told someone their art looks like literal shit. And then just added, "I don't like it though, that's just my opinion," at the end. And I meant this in my script as a joke, and then when I was looking for screenshots, I actually found someone who said this. It is not wild to say you're being a jerk. And I've noticed online we just expect everything to cater to us nowadays. People get genuinely pissed when they can't relate to or personally like something online, and that's crazy. They pull up comments like, "So you hate waffles," or "What about blank?" If you do not fit their needs, they start throwing a tantrum because it's your problem now that they can't scroll despite it not being a big deal. I'm tired of people pretending this is normal. Like, we need to grow accustomed to this. Nobody in the real world acts like this. I'm tired of people feeling like they have to jump through hoops to satisfy others, whether it be changing their art, their wording, adding 500 disclaimers of what's usually common sense, or having to cater to everyone because others get butthurt over things that aren't hurting anyone. At what point do we take a step back and realize we need to get off our devices for a bit? But I'm straying from the point. Mini ran over. I'm so sorry. Point is, not everything's going to cater to you. Stop making your opinions everyone else's problem. But I genuinely don't understand hating on people for wanting to have a unique art style. People have been saying, you just made your art style to be unique in this discussion. And it's like, yes, that's the whole point. Most people wanting their own art style go into it wanting to be unique. That is the whole point of calling it their art style. Is it only an issue when it's too unique or unconventional? We are artists. We can create whatever we want. It's not wild to see an artist want to go out the norm. Because if we can create whatever we want, most people ask, then why do I want to create something we see every day? We want to go past the norm. Having unconventional anatomy cannot be that wild. I mean, Halloween's coming up. Forget haunted houses, go to your local art museum. The abstract exhibit will surely be a jump scare. But jokes aside, personally I find it cool, and if you don't agree, that's perfectly fine. But be respectful about your opinions instead of harassing people. And going back to using opinions as a shield, especially when it's obvious that it's used as a scapegoat from when they're criticized, look at some of these comments under these posts. Is this just criticism? Is this just an opinion? Or do you also notice how hostile these people are being? I mean, look at this. At what point do we just call it as it is? Bullying. But if you say you like the art, people will tell you you're lying. People will tell you you're lying. And that's because they personally disagree. It's always, it's my opinion, until you say you like the art. Then it's, oh, you're lying. You don't actually think that. That's wrong. Hey buddy, I don't know if you know this, but that's my opinion. Or do opinions only apply to you? And you guys know you're being rude. But let's go along with the it's my opinion comment. Freedom of speech, am I right? Where are those eagles? Does that disappear when I tell you I disagree? Or when I criticize your execution of said opinions? Just like you're allowed to give your opinion, people are allowed to criticize that opinion and the execution of such. I've said this in one of my recent TikToks, but if you could throw out your opinions, don't be shocked when you get pushback from those disagreeing. Me disagreeing with you isn't saying you can't have those opinions, I'm just disagreeing. And maybe I'm advising to execute your thoughts more constructively and better in the future. When I say that, it's just... I always hear if you can't handle the hate, don't post online. But I don't hear enough people saying, if you can't handle harmless drawings to the point that you feel like you need to dedicate time out of your day to harass someone over it, maybe you need to get offline. Because imagine being that upset over an art style. Something so harmless. You could say it's an opinion or that it's the internet and it's normal, but really it's not. I don't care that the internet is different than the real world. Just because you have the confidence behind a shield does not matter. We're all real human beings at the end of the day, and you would not act like this in person. And if you did, I'd assume that you're probably a young kid who's extremely immature. But unfortunately, that is a lot of the TikTok art community, mixed in with quite a few immature adults. And yes, if you make a video saying I hate blank's art, then like hateful comments, that is still hate and bullying. That does sound a little bit off topic, but during this discussion, I saw that a lot. Even if you deny it's hate and bullying, if you're doing this, it still is. People would be like, I hate blank's art. And then be like, not hating though. And then like someone being like, I freaking hate blank. Bro, you are fueling an environment on hating a person and their art. Especially in the case when the artist is already being hated enough. But luckily though, in a more positive turn, a lot of people began fighting against this negativity by loudly supporting artists and speaking against this whole trend of videos. Which is extremely refreshing. It's nice to see them get defended, and while some people find the love forced, I get it, that's simply because they're trying to be louder than the hate. These people do actually believe what they're saying just saying it louder than they normally would, which, yeah, can come off as fake or forced. Again, I get it, but it's simply to combat the hate against these artists who are being harassed, so they know that people still care about them and their art, despite all this hate. But overall, have your opinions, positive or negative. But remember to go about those opinions properly and constructively. People would have less of a problem if you were just respectful. There is nothing wrong with disliking an art style, or believing unique doesn't equal good, but the issue is how you go about those opinions. But that's it for my opinions, and many rants in this video. What are your thoughts? Do you agree or not? What are your experiences? Comment those down below, preferably respectfully. If you like the video, and maybe subscribe. Thank you all for 158,000 subscribers. I want to try and reach 160 by the end of the month, so if we could, that'd be pretty epic. But that's it for today. As always, remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye-bye!